Rihanna's father, Ronald Fenty, has passed away at the age of 70, People magazine has officially confirmed. The heartbreaking news was first reported by Starcom Network, a media outlet based in Barbados, Rihanna's home country. According to their report, Ronald Fenty died in Los Angeles following a short and undisclosed illness. While his official cause and date of death have not yet been publicly revealed, sources close to the family shared that Fenty's loved ones were present during his final moments. TMZ obtained photographs showing Rihanna's brother, Rajid Fenty, arriving at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center on May 28, suggesting that the family was already aware of the gravity of the situation. The outlet further reported that Rihanna herself, who is currently pregnant with her third child, was also in the vehicle with her brother. While Rihanna's team did not immediately issue a public statement following the news of her father's death, the silence speaks volumes, reflecting the emotional weight of such a deeply personal loss. Born in February 1988, Rihanna is the daughter of Ronald Fenty and Monica Braithwaite. The couple also had two sons together, Rajid and Rory. In addition to his children with Monica, Ronald Fenty fathered 3 children from previous relationships, 2 daughters, Samantha and Candy, and a son named Jamie. Together, the blended family has navigated a complex and sometimes challenging history, rooted in the culturally rich and vibrant environment of Bridgetown, Barbados. It was in this humble Caribbean neighborhood, specifically in a modest bungalow on what has since been renamed Rihanna Drive, that the future global superstar spent her early years. Ronald and Monica eventually separated while Rihanna was still a young girl. Their separation was formalized in 2002 when the couple officially divorced, marking a pivotal shift in Rihanna's upbringing and emotional development. At the time of their divorce, Rihanna was just 14 years old, grappling with the kinds of personal changes that could deeply impact any teenager, let alone one who would soon find herself thrust into the global spotlight. Over the years, Rihanna's relationship with her father was marked by both tender and tumultuous moments. While every parent-child relationship evolves with time, the public nature of Rihanna's career brought a spotlight onto aspects of her family dynamic that many families deal with in private. One of the most strained periods in their relationship came in the aftermath of the 2009 incident in which Rihanna was assaulted by her then-boyfriend, fellow musician Chris Brown. Without his daughter's permission, Ronald Fenty gave interviews to the press about the ordeal, which deeply hurt and confused Rihanna. Speaking candidly in a later interview with Vogue, she reflected on the complicated emotions she experienced, saying, "You grow up with your father, you know him, you are a part of him, for goodness sakes. And then he does something so bizarre that I can't begin to wrap my mind around it." These words, raw and filled with a daughter's pain and confusion, painted a picture of a young woman trying to reconcile love with betrayal. Despite the emotional rift, Rihanna later told Oprah that she made efforts to rebuild the bridge between herself and her father. In a heartfelt interview, she said that she had repaired her relationship with Ronald, suggesting a period of healing and personal growth for both parties. Nevertheless, the peace between them remained fragile. In 2019, their relationship was once again thrust into the public eye when Rihanna filed a lawsuit against her father. The legal documents alleged that Ronald had tried to capitalize on her fame by starting a company called Fenty Entertainment in 2017. According to the lawsuit, he falsely posed as her manager and used her name to attract business deals, allegedly without her knowledge or consent. Rihanna claimed that he and his business partner were exploiting her brand and reputation in a way that was not only misleading but also deeply hurtful. As the case drew closer to its trial date in 2021, Rihanna filed to dismiss the lawsuit, possibly signaling another attempt at reconciliation or simply a desire to put the matter behind her. The death of a parent always marks a profound shift in one's life. For Rihanna, Ronald Fenty was more than a man with whom she had a complicated history. He was her father, the first man she ever knew, and part of the foundation that shaped who she became. Regardless of the ups and downs, of the lawsuits or public disappointments, there is an undeniable emotional bond between parent and child that endures even the hardest of times. It is impossible to talk about Ronald Fenty without acknowledging both the pain and the love that defined his relationship with his famous daughter. He was a part of her earliest memories, a constant in her childhood, and a name that will forever be tied to her origin story. His influence, for better or worse, contributed to Rihanna's strength, her resilience, and perhaps even her fire. Ronald was known in his local community in Barbados for his warm, gregarious nature and his approachable demeanor. Despite the headlines and controversies, many who knew him personally remembered a man who loved his family and took pride in his daughter's success. Friends and acquaintances from Bridgetown often shared stories about Ronald's excitement when Rihanna's music took over the airwaves and when she began receiving international recognition. In fact, it's said that he often spoke about her accomplishments with glowing pride, regardless of the differences they had. He would recall her days as a young girl singing around the house, and how even back then, she had a spark, a kind of passion that lit up the room. He'd reminisce about her big dreams and how she worked tirelessly to make them a reality. Even when they were estranged, it was clear that his admiration for her never waned. The irony of fame is that it magnifies everything: the love, the disputes, the misunderstandings. Ronald Fenty was no stranger to this. He found himself thrust into a media whirlwind simply by virtue of being Rihanna's father. Sometimes he embraced the attention, and sometimes he stumbled under its weight. But through it all, he remained a figure that Rihanna would have to reckon with emotionally, legally, and spiritually. As the world mourns alongside Rihanna and her family, there is a quiet respect being paid to the complexity of their bond. No relationship is perfect, and in families where pain and fame intertwine, the lines between love and disappointment often blur. Yet at the core of it all is a father who, despite his flaws, helped bring one of the world's biggest stars into being. Rihanna, now a mother herself, must be feeling the weight of this loss not just as a daughter, but as a parent. The cycle of life, of growing, loving, clashing, healing, and eventually saying goodbye, is never easy, no matter how public or private your life may be. For someone like Rihanna, who has endured public scrutiny, heartbreak, triumph, and immense responsibility, this loss adds another deeply human chapter to her extraordinary story. Ronald Fenty's death is not just a celebrity headline. It is a reminder of the fragile, often complicated bonds that tie us to our roots. It is a chapter closing not just in Rihanna's personal life, but in the story of a man who, through love and loss, shaped part of a legacy that will live on in music, memory, and family history. While the world knows Rihanna as a global icon, behind that name stands generations of stories, Ronald Fenty's included. The family has yet to share plans for his funeral or memorial, and it's expected that details will remain private out of respect for their mourning process. What's certain is that Ronald Fenty will be remembered, not just for his connection to a global superstar, but for the role he played in shaping the woman the world has come to admire. Whether it was through moments of pride, pain, or personal reckoning, his presence in Rihanna's life has left an indelible mark. And as the family begins to process this loss, we can only hope that healing, understanding, and love continue to guide them forward. In these moments of loss, reflection takes center stage. We are reminded that fame does not protect us from grief, and that the death of a loved one strikes at the heart with the same force whether you are known around the world or known only to a few. For Rihanna, this is a time of personal reckoning, of remembering the father who gave her his name, his DNA, and a share of his spirit. It is a moment that transcends headlines and touches the most private corners of the soul. As fans around the world send condolences and prayers, one thing remains clear: Ronald Fenty's story may have ended, but his role in the greater narrative of his daughter's life will continue to echo through every lyric she sings, every child she raises, and every legacy she builds. His life, complex and colorful, has now become part of the eternal thread that weaves through the heart of a global icon.